ABC Listen. Podcasts, radio, news, music and more.
Oh, he's done it again! Flipping marvellous! From Nestory Irankunda.
It's a good week to be Nestory Irankunda. The teenage sensation has just kicked 2 stunning free kick goals for Watford in the Championship, and he's just been recalled to the Socceroos squad. Like I said, it's been a good week. So aside from gymnastic celebrations, what will he bring to the national team in the Football Ashes this week and looking ahead to the World Cup next year? And with so many Australians playing overseas at the moment, what does that say about the development of our domestic competition? I'm Poppy Penny, and this is ABC Sport Daily. Craig Foster is a former captain of the Socceroos who played 29 games for the national team, is also a member of the Football Australia Hall of Fame. Craig, before we get to the Soccer Ashes that kicks off on Friday, I want to bask in the recent form of teenager Nestory Irankunda. Can you tell me a bit about his past week for Watford in the Championship?
Basically, Nestory Irankunda was a standout, very young player in the A-League for Adelaide United, and just a phenomenally exciting attacking player.
Nestory Irankunda! Unbelievable! He is well and truly cooking. Nestory Irankunda at just 17 years of age.
Went over to Bayern Munich with a lot of fanfare, and he played in their under-20, started really well, and then he ended up, not being able to, he was so young that he didn't play many first-team games, and then he's now got himself across to Watford in the Championship, which is really important in a World Cup year, and he's just exploded on the scene over there in his first couple of games, an assist as well as 2 unbelievable free kicks. Just on the weekend, a free kick must have been all of 30 metres, and it was just absolutely astounding. And the funny one was last week when he scored a similar free kick from way outside the box.
Kayembe and Irankunda are over it. It is Irankunda, and it is beautiful! Watford take the lead, and they do so in superb style.
I think it was the captain said to him, "Oh, look, are you okay to take this?" And he said, "Oh, you obviously haven't seen my highlights." He's a very exciting talent. It was back in October last year when he was last in a Socceroos squad, so he missed 3 windows. So it's great to see him back in what is a very young squad, and we're all looking forward to seeing him.
He's thrived at Watford, as you say. We heaped a lot of hype on this kid when he went to Bayern Munich, and as you say, he did struggle a little bit. What is it about his time at Watford, do you think, that has worked so well for him? Because the coach seems to think there's more to come.
Well, yeah, everyone does, and the world has sit up and take notice a little bit now. So, the world is watching Nestory now and realising that this is a very, very significant talent. Yes, there was obviously a lot of expectation because, we're so desperate here in Australia to get another Timmy Cahill, to get another Harry Kewell, and it's been many years since we got people back to that level. We don't have a single player playing at the top level in the EPL this season, for example. The difference with Nestory is when he's in an environment of Adelaide and now here at Watford where he obviously feels comfortable, it seems that the coach is giving him responsibility and clearly telling him, use your capabilities, take responsibility and just go at people. And in these big moments, it's up to you to do something. And that's very, very important because not many young players are going to step up and demand to be able to take a free kick in those pressure situations. So he's demonstrated that he's got not just the ability, but actually the mentality.
And at such a young age to have that confidence too. As you say, he hasn't been in Socceroos colours for almost a year. However, with the Soccer Ashes coming up this weekend, we will see him. He's been recalled into this squad. What impact will coach Tony Popovic be hoping he can have, not just in these friendlies, but we've all got an eye on about 9 or 10 months' time with a World Cup on the horizon?
Tony Popovic has been able to qualify the team when he took over from Graham Arnold, in difficult circumstances. He did a fantastic job getting them through. And what that means is that he had almost a year to be able to just have these types of games where he can prepare the team for next year. And that's a luxury that we haven't had for multiple World Cups. And therefore, this is a full 12 months to actually prepare. And a part of that is, given that the A-League men's is not yet underway, this squad is all based overseas where they're already playing, they're already fit. And it's an opportunity for Tony to pick one of the youngest squads we've seen for decades, actually, one of the most talent-laden squads. So we're going to see an experimental team, including with Nestory.
And now we're seeing him progress further at Watford. So, we know he certainly has the talent, and he's young. He's still got the potential. He's still maturing and getting better, and we hope to see him in 2, 3, 4 World Cups to come.
But the one thing about Tony, his experience as, one of our greatest Socceroos, that experience has led him as a Socceroo coach to be saying to these young players, firstly, you have to respect the shirt and you may have to wait to have your opportunity. You won't just be selected just for the fact that you've had a few good games. Secondly, when you are selected, we expect you to accept the invitation from Australia. And if you're prevaricating whether you're going to play for us or someone else, which is, it's been an issue in Australian football forever, really we don't want you because we're starting to get enough talent now. And I think, I fully support that.
It should be difficult. It should be challenging. And wanting to play for Socceroos should be the ultimate goal for every player.
Thirdly, when Nestory played last time, I think there's a sense of, whilst you have a certain level of freedom to create and, play in a certain way, you also have to follow the instructions that Tony wants. And that means that your defensive duties are extremely important. That discipline and that commitment to the team and to the way that the coach wants to play is incredibly important for all these players to understand that you can be a brilliant attacking player, but you're also part of a team. You're playing for Australia and you need to do the work off the ball.
As you mentioned, the A-Leagues are out of season, so it means that this entire squad is made up of guys who are all playing at overseas clubs. I want to know a couple of things. Firstly, what does this tell you about the quality of the A-League and its ability to develop talent that can get scouted and make it in overseas leagues? But secondly, as you say, we've got no Aussies playing at the top level of English football. There are no Aussies in the Premier League at the moment. What will it take to get more Australians back into that top echelon?
Yeah, it's a question the game's been struggling with for quite some years, probably the last decade. Sadly, when the A-League was started back in the first decade of 2000s, the clubs were started without academies. And so we went from these legacy, if you like, historic, ethnically backed clubs who did a marvellous job of training young Italian Australians like Paul Ocon, or Croatian Australians, like Ned Zelic down in Canberra, Popovic himself, or Mark Schwarzer at Marconi, or generations of players. And all of a sudden, the professional game didn't invest in the development of youth players. It was just an extraordinary decision that none of us we just couldn't fathom. And so we relied on the Timmy Cahill, Lucas Neal, Vinnie Grella, Bresciano, a generation around the 2006 and 2010 World Cup, where we almost got out of the group. And then we, went into a decade really where, the teams didn't have the same level of player playing at the very top level. So what we're seeing now, finally and thankfully, and that's what making us so excited, is that all of a sudden young Australian players, because now we've made that investment through the A-League academies and the coaching level is rising. And now all of a sudden clubs are struggling to hold on to their younger players, even for a couple of years. So as soon as they come into the A-League, they're being sought by a vast range of European leagues now, from Switzerland. I mean, Scotland obviously has always been a big home, but also, in Germany, you saw Bayern Munich and elsewhere. We want the kids to stay for a couple of years, get their grounding, become professionals, and then take off abroad and, of course, go play at the top level.
We need to build some continuity with some senior players, but also we need to get the balance right and give some of these young boys an opportunity where they could feature at the World Cup. They could be a surprise, but also we know that these young boys have a lot of potential and possibly they have 2 or 3 World Cups ahead of them.
When they're playing at the top level, eventually it means that our national teams are much, much stronger, means we can compete and aim to go in the men, to go perhaps to our first ever quarterfinal. But it also means that your domestic competitions are also stronger. So we're now just starting to take some really positive steps. And we're seeing also our junior national teams finally start to do well. We've struggled in Asia for a long, long time, but both our young females and males have struggled to win Asian titles, Asian championships, and even to make Junior World Cups, let alone excel. All of a sudden, we're just starting to see that change. So only in the last couple of days, our under-17 girls won an ASEAN title. Our under-20 girls won an Asian title. Our under-17 boys won an Asian title for the first time. So finally, we're starting to develop some really good kids.
You mentioned how young this team is, and just very quickly before I let you go, they will all have a little bit of an eye on the World Cup next year as well. How many of these guys in this squad will be playing for a spot in that squad?
Well, they're all playing for it. They're all playing for it. And that's why we should see some really good performances against New Zealand, because these kids all know that the door is open.
Any player out there that believes that he can play in the World Cup, the reality is it's possible. We wish all the players good luck, and we're monitoring everyone.
We've always taken some young kids to each World Cup, firstly. Secondly, there is a group of the current Socceroos who qualified who are getting older. And if one of these young players really steps up and demonstrates their capability, then there's a very good chance they'll be taken. So that's what's on the line here. Long-term Socceroo careers are on the line here, in the sense that if you get off to a very strong start, you demonstrate to the coach that you are willing to commit to the team plan, but that your own technical quality, your understanding of the game, ability to deal with pressure, although New Zealand's not the biggest game, obviously, you're still pulling on the green and gold shirt. What you need to see is these young players stepping up and being able to give their very best in that environment. And the more that do it, all of a sudden you make the next squad and you've got quite a bit of time. You're also against New Zealand, which is not the strongest opponents. You're not playing a South American team. You're not playing a top European team. You're not even playing a top Asian team. This is an opponent who Australia traditionally expects to beat, and you can get the ball, you can excel, and in these two games, you can show exactly what you're capable of.
Craig Foster, it's an exciting time to be a Socceroos fan. Thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Headlines. And Oscar Piastri has won the Dutch Grand Prix and is now 34 points clear in the F1 Drivers' Championship after his closest rival and McLaren teammate, Lando Norris, failed to finish the race with an oil leak and engine failure with 7 laps to go.
I got smoke coming from the cockpit, I think.
Oh.
I smell something funny.
Okay, we'll monitor that. No, it's an engine problem. Is this an engine problem for Lando Norris? And that's a lot more smoke than you would normally want to see.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm on fire or not. It doesn't smell good. Smoke in the cockpit. Okay, mate, we're checking.
Oh, Lando Norris is out of the race. And this tight championship battle, where fine margins have decided everything so far this season, now swings very much in Oscar Piastri's favour.
It's Piastri's 7th win of the season and 9th win overall. The rivalry between the two continues next weekend in Italy. Tennis and the US Open continues to provide much entertainment. This time, an incredible behind-the-back trick shot from number 2 seed Carlos Alcaraz that helped him overcome Frenchman Arthur Rinderknecht and progress to the quarterfinals.
Oh, he's put a rabbit out of the hat there. Ridiculous skills from Alcaraz. Behind the back, half volley.
4 games in.
It's not even fair anymore. This is just getting ridiculous.
Novak Djokovic is also through, meaning these two are on track for a semi-final matchup should they both win their quarterfinals. Australian Alex de Minaur takes on Leandro Rietti tonight. On the women's side of the draw, world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka still hasn't dropped a set as she progressed through to the quarterfinals as well. In the AFL, Carlton coach Michael Voss says that key forward Charlie Curnow won't be traded despite him being open to moving. Voss says the Blues won't entertain offers for Curnow this off-season. The 2-time Coleman medalist is contracted until the end of season 2029. I'm Poppy Penny and this is ABC Sport Daily. Thanks to Watford FC, the A-Leagues, Fox Sports and the US Open for the extra audio used in this episode.
Discover more great ABC podcasts, live radio and exclusives on the ABC Listen app.